thought I will do something about the main memory because there are some questions regarding that. Okay, so let's start off with that. Uh, okay, first thing I want to do is just do a short thing about processing unit, main memory, and secondary memory, and what's the relationship between them. Okay, so now we have the processing unit. There I just got a image of that from the internet, so you can see it's a chip. Then we have the main memory. Again, that's how it looks like physically. Memory cards. Then the main memory is the place where instructions and data will be kept, from which the processing unit can take and execute them or do them. Okay, so processing unit only works with the main memory. Then we have the secondary memory, which is the hard disk, pen drives, floppy disks, tapes, the olden days ones, anything. Anyway, so those are the secondary. But the processing unit cannot directly work with that. So what happens is whenever processing unit wants to work with something that is in the secondary storage, it has to first load that into the main memory. And then whenever the main memory is done with that, maybe it can put it back if it wants, if there are changes or whatever, it can write it back into the secondary storage and maybe take the next one. So like that, it will be swapping information based on what the processing unit needs to write at this moment do. So whatever the processing unit needs to do at this moment should be there in the main memory. So it will be loaded. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about is what comprises the main memory. I'm not talking about all the detailed things. I'm trying to do a general one. Main memory consists of a part called RAM. The word RAM comes up with the random access memory. So that's a short form for the random access memory, RAM. This is a memory. It's part of the main memory where you can read from. So in other words, when I say the processing unit can read from that memory. It can also, processing unit can also give commands and write something onto the random access memory, RAM. Okay, so therefore that memory can be assumed as you can read from that as well as you can write onto that. And it is random access. I have a few demo coming up later down to give you an idea about what this random access really means for people who are not very sure about that. Okay, so random access memory means you can basically read from any part of the memory without having to go through a series of things. Okay, we will see that more in detail in a little while. And this random access memory is volatile memory, which means as long as there is electricity on, the computer is on with power, whatever that is written on the RAM will be available and it will stay as it is. The moment the power goes off, it loses all this contents. So the next time you switch on the computer, if you want to work with the same information or same instructions and data, you'll have to again load it back into the main memory because it's no more there once the power goes. So that is the problem with the RAM. Okay. The second one is read-only memory. So this is what I want to point out here. RAM as well as ROM both are part of the main memory or the main storage. Okay. So which means the processor can work with either the RAM or the ROM because the processor is only able to work with the main memory. So this is part of the main, these two are part of the main memory. Okay, this is not secondary storage like the hard disk. Okay, so this is in the computer itself, and whether the instructions and data are there in the RAM or in the ROM, processor can read from that and carry those instructions down. Okay, so let's see what this read-only memory is. The processor can read from this memory, same as RAM. RAM also, processor can read from the RAM. Now this is where it differs. Processor cannot give instruction and say write something onto the ROM because ROM are not writable. Okay, it's only read-only memory. That's why it's called read-only memory. So then what's the purpose of that? Okay, the ROM, what happens is at the time of the manufacturers manufacturing, all the instructions and data that is required for the ROM are built in at that point in time, at the time that the ROM is being manufactured. Once it is put down into that, after that it doesn't get erased. It doesn't depend on the power like that. So let's see that also. This is a controversial part. Can randomly access, same as RAM. Okay, so I want to talk about that also a little bit. But the most important thing is this is non-volatile. The meaning, whatever data that is written at the manufacturing time and recorded into the ROM never gets erased. It need not have power. Whether the power is there or not, it is there. Whatever that is written into the ROM, it doesn't get erased at all. Okay, but the only problem is you can't overwrite. Whereas RAM, you can overwrite the previous data and keep reusing the space over and over again. ROM, you cannot do. It's only done at the manufacturing time, and actually, as programmers, we have no control over that. Okay, and it is now the controversial part is, first one we are calling random access memory. Second one we are calling read-only memory. But if you look at both are random accessible. You can randomly access. I will explain to you about random access in a little while. Both are, so that is a slightly confusing situation. So, but in actual scenario, RAM is actually read and write memory. You can read from processor can read from that as well as write onto that. Whereas ROM, processor can only read from that, cannot write onto it. It's already written by the manufacturer at the start manufacturing time. So since both RAM and ROM are random access, it is confusing to have the name like random access memory for one of them. First one we are calling random access memory. The second one is also random access memory. Okay, so what to do? That's how life is. So somebody decided this, somebody named it like that, and now we are stuck with this name. Okay, we can't change it. So we are going to call the first type of memory as RAM, second type of memory as ROM, even though the second type of memory also can be randomly accessed. Okay, but they don't refer to it in that sense. But as far as the functionality is concerned, ROM also can be randomly accessed. But from now on, we will not confuse anything. We will call the part which can be read and write memory as RAM, read only memory as ROM. Okay, right. So now we are going to I'm going to give you some examples and show you what this random access